'Cause I'm yours to keep if you want to.
I like it.
I just kicked that on. Boom. And we're rolling. I'm trying a new software today, so I'm like really hoping that there's no
Hiccups.
cut off, you know, like that's this thing that still like makes me mad nervous when I do these. Like
Right.
I'm just gonna be like, oh man, that thing stopped an hour through this because
Right.
I'm just doing it all myself.
I've definitely had that happen.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, shit, dude, let's just jump right to it. So what's your full name?
Zachary Lewis, a.k.a. Futuristic.
Are you named after anybody?
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Just always curious.
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Like my real name or
Yeah.
Nah. Lewis, I think, is my grandma's maiden name.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
I think that's where Lewis came from.
Okay.
And that's actually my middle name, but yeah.
And where'd Futuristic come from?
Yo, I've been rapping since I was a kid, 5 years old. So Futuristic just came from, like, they called me the Future. And that just quickly turned into being futuristic at a very, very young age.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah. Like probably I was probably like 8, maybe 9 tops when I got the name Futuristic.
Damn. Where were you born?
Illinois.
No way.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Bloomington, Illinois.
I thought you were Arizona all the way through.
Yeah, nah, I lived in Illinois till I was 12. No, till I was 14, and then I moved to Arizona.
What was it like living there?
It was cool. Small town vibes. And then small town vibes was cool. Bloomington, Illinois is where like ISU's at. So I lived there till I was 12. Then I moved to Danville, Illinois. Wouldn't recommend it to anybody. I lived in Danville for 2 years. I actually just recently went back. I Zillowed the house that I lived in. It's worth $24,000.
And that's now.
Now.
Wild.
$24,000 for the house.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah.
That's like something you just have to almost buy and just.
No, yeah. If it was for sale, I was like, yo, I might cop this and just commemorate it, turn it into like a studio for people to go to. And, yeah.
So when you started making music at that 5-year-old age, that was all there.
Yeah.
And how'd that start?
Pops is a drummer,
Cool.
guitar, bass. He plays bass, drums, and DJs. So, and he's in mad bands. So we had a basement, and all the time he just had different bands come over, and it'd be like past my bedtime, and I'm sneaking downstairs and like getting on the mic, just saying stuff. Probably, I mean, before I was 5, like 3 years old, 4 years old, just going in there and going crazy. And then, he gave me a drum machine, and he gave me all these different things, and so I was cooking. Like I said, mad young, but that's where it really stemmed from. And then my older brothers, we all kind of started at the same time. So like when I was 5, they were 8 and 9. So we're just cooking up.
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of that. I don't have any musical like family members, musical like relatives. So for me, whenever I meet people who have that kind of history, I'm jealous because I feel like it's so cool.
Right.
To have that connection, especially that early. I don't think I've heard anybody that's really on that early of a bond, and with your brothers.
Right.
Like that shit's awesome.
No, facts.
And they all make music as well?
Pretty much. Like I'm about to link up with my other brother who lives here. He plays guitar, drums, makes beats. My other brother raps. My other brother is the talent buyer for the venue in Bloomington. Like my sister sings. So yeah, my whole family's pretty musically inclined.
No way, man.
Yeah.
What's your whole family unit?
What do you
mean?
Like
immediate family, and then you close with like
My family dynamic is wild.
Okay.
I'm one of 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm one of 9, but like only one full brother. I mean, I never really say that. Like we're all I feel like that we're all full, right? But but yeah, there's like 4 different baby mamas, 3 different dad. Like there's just a lot of stuff involved. So yeah, just a lot of craziness.
I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like if you're close with them and you grow up with a good connection.
For sure. It's wild because like part of the year I used to be like an only child, and then like my brothers would come over every summer, and then my other brother came over every other weekend, and then like parents split and my dad had more kids, and like so it was just like this crazy dynamic of we've actually never all been in the same room at the same time.
No way.
Yeah.
How come?
Just
too wild.
It's just it's a lot. It's a lot, like even on the holidays, it's like, okay, how many Christmases can you really have in one day? You know? So
yeah, I can't imagine, but man, that's cool
for sure.
And so you were living in Illinois, and what was the change? Why did you move to Arizona? Why did the family move to Arizona?
After my parents split, it was kind of just like my mom was looking for something new and wanted to get out of the cold.
Yeah.
And so she went to nursing school in Illinois, and then it was like the jobs that were open were in Arizona. I had a cousin that lived out there, And so she came and checked it out over a spring break and came back and was just like, hey, we're moving to Arizona. And I was
Amazing.
like, cool. Run it up. Let's go.
How was that transition for you?
I think because I disliked Danville so much, just those, because I had just moved anyways, right?
Yeah.
Like I moved an hour and a half away, which doesn't seem that like, but when you're a kid, like
It's forever.
yeah, it's like I never seen, so it's different. So after I did that 2 years there, I would have moved anywhere else but that town. So I was just like, Arizona sounds cool. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then when I got there, it was actually very refreshing. Like Arizona is it's the newest state, I think, maybe other than Hawaii. It might even be newer than Hawaii. And I think Hawaii is the only other one, but everything's new. The streets are new. Everything's clean. The air felt fresher. Like the different dynamics of people was really dope. And then I ended up meeting my videographer who helped me jumpstart my career, and my producer, and all these different people in this melting pot. And I loved it from day one. Like I remember just going on walks and being like, yo, this is beautiful. Like palm trees and everything, it's just amazing.
Yeah. Killer, man. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
We'll circle back to everything with that. But
Yeah.
when you moved there, I mean, it sounds like you were pretty much full-time music from birth.
Yeah.
Do you have other jobs when you were younger?
I had 2 jobs, and I'm the worst employee of all time.
Okay.
Like I worked at Ross and I worked at Capriati's, which is a sandwich shop.
Okay.
And I think both those jobs, I feel like I worked there forever, but like only worked with both of them for maybe 3 to 5 months tops.
Okay.
I had odd jobs, like I DJ'd high school dances. I DJ'd at like a trampoline park, DJ'd car auctions. I mowed lawns as a kid, but like those are all like still independent. Like I kind of just did. But as far as official jobs was just Ross and Capriati's.
Okay.
And I was the worst employee for sure.
Well, why do you think that was?
I just knew I wasn't supposed to be there. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, so when they asked me to do stuff, I'm just like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm doing that. I didn't care. I didn't care for either of the jobs. So like sandwich comes up, I'm like, not making that.
Yeah.
Not happening. They're like, Zach, clean this section. I'm like, not cleaning that.
Yeah.
Not happening. I'm doing the register. That's it.
Worst employee.
Yeah. Worst employee ever. For sure.
So, I mean, it sounds like the whole time it's just been music. That's been the calling. Music.
Yeah.
That's been like the destiny. So
Yeah.
obviously you had it with your dad being in bands, bringing people over, seeing it. When was it really like, this is going to be my life, this is going to be my career, this is how I'm going to approach it? And what was that initial approach, like that initial thing? What was like, the goal and how to get rolling?
I mean, it sounds crazy, but it really was like I really was selling CDs in elementary school. I really was not even CDs. I was selling mini discs. Like I was selling cassettes. I was going crazy, walking the lunch line, and like if Cats wasn't getting, the free lunch, then I'm like, oh, you got money to buy the actual lunch? No, I'll buy my CD instead. Like you can get lunch tomorrow. Like I was really on that type of time. But as far as like when everything really took off was, I guess 2010, 2011 is when I started doing bigger shows and like opening up for Machine Gun Kelly, Yellow Wolf, Hobson, Tech, like those types of people. And then like selling out my own shows, making $1,000+ every time I did anything, so that was when it was like, okay, this is kind of how the actual industry works,
Yeah.
So 2010 is really like I was getting on blogs, I was shooting music videos. So I graduated high school in 2009, shot my first video, and then after that it was like, okay, how do we really make this, how do we make the jump, So really it's been since 2009, 10.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you have anybody that was teaching you the business? Did you have any kind of way you were like, what was your method for learning? Obviously, I mean, those are all big steps,
Yeah.
just to even have the awareness of like, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
To have the ability to start looking at like, oh, I'm going to actually go sell this thing.
Yeah.
To have like this skill to identify somebody to sell it to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
As
like,
a kid, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, early, obviously, it was, my dad was just, all the things he did was independently. He owned his own DJ business. He rented out his equipment to other people. He did weddings, and he was a tightwad. And he still is. So, I learned the value of $1 very young. And then when I started doing it, I guess professionally, it was like the 2 people who I had in my corner was my producer and my videographer that I mentioned. And so my videographer was all about the YouTube space. He fell in love with YouTube, fell in love with Mac Miller, fell in love with he did stupid stuff with his friends and posted funny videos, and a couple of them went viral. So he was learning the YouTube space. My producer was actually a marketing person. That's what he did for his actual job outside of music. He did like a locksmith company. So he was doing the marketing, he was doing that, and I was just trying to find all the spaces that I could like open up for shows or like get on blogs. So every day I'm just on the computer like, how do I get on this blog? How do I get on this platform? How do I work with this artist? How do I get myself posted on this Facebook page or this YouTube channel? And so it was just, I'm reaching out all day. Then after I get the connect, he's marketing it, he's shooting the music video, and that was kind of our little 3-man team back in the day.
Dude, sick.
Yeah.
How'd you meet those guys?
Went to high school with Jacob Owens. Our channel was the Buff Nerds, and we actually hated each other, couldn't stand each other. I was a new kid at school, met at basketball tryouts, and I was busting his ass at basketball. And like in Illinois, like we talk. Can I curse on here?
Yeah,
No? Okay, yeah. We talk shit to each other. So I'm just like, talking, and he's like getting pissed, and he's the most competitive person you'll ever meet. Meanwhile, his pops is in the stands, and he's like, get him, Jake, just going crazy. So I'm talking to his dad. I'm talking to him. And so that we hated each other for like a year and a half.
I wish I could have seen that.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then like even the culture was so different. I came from like rocking tall tees and baggy clothes, and these dudes are wearing like Vans and short shorts.
Sure.
So like it was a culture shock. I just didn't like anything about it. That's how we met. Eventually, we ended up obviously mending that and becoming cool, realizing we had more in common than we thought. And then my producer I met after I got on blogs, because he owned a blog called phoenixhiphop.net.
Okay.
So I ended up just reaching out to them like, yo, can I get this video posted? Really love your blog, whatever. And he hit me back like, you live in Arizona? Come to my studio, let's work. And from there, he produced my first 3 projects.
No way.
Completely. And yeah, he was like my 50-50 partner. So Jake monetized all the videos on the YouTube, so I never had to pay him. I never had to pay Action for beats. He just put in half the money, and we split everything 50-50. So like it was cool, because since I didn't have money, it was like I had everything I needed for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, brilliant setup.
Yeah. It worked.
And so what for you, what was like, you're just going through the motions of, okay, we've created the first album, what was it, 2010? I think it was released in 2010.
My first professional album with that producer came out in 2012.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, actually yesterday, 2012. So 10 years ago exactly.
Almost. Oh man.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been seeing we're pretty much starting similar timelines. So
Okay.
I feel like it's pretty nuts to see all this stuff being a
all
decade
the craziness
in.
that's happened, in a decade.
Yeah.
For sure.
So for you, what was making that first album like? That was in Action's house, apartment?
Yeah, it was just in his apartment. It was the first time I really like took a lot of time on a record, because I wasn't paying for studio time, right? So like I'm the king of one takes. Like I record all my stuff. Even as a kid, like I used to record, I'd go to my dad's house for a weekend and record a whole album. So like I always was just mad quick. So when I started working with Action, he was the first one to like hold me to a standard of like, nah, this could be better, or nah, let's bring in a musician to actually play this guitar, or let's do this, or let's do that. So making that first album was like a level up, and I feel like I found my voice on that album. And if you listen to it, you can kind of hear it, because I found my voice like 3/4 of the way through.
Cool.
So
you actually hear it in the album.
You hear it to where like there's 3 songs on the album that kind of sound like me, and then the rest don't. And it's because that was like how I used to rap. And then on a song's actually called Fuck You Mean, that's the record where I found myself.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
So you're just immediately starting to think, all right, I'm going to make an album. Are you pressing CDs?
Definitely. And I was already pressing CDs before that.
Right.
Yeah.
And was that like TuneCore was starting to come online?
TuneCore. That was my first album on TuneCore.
Okay.
Was that joint. Yeah.
And then you're just looking for shows nationally, looking for shows?
Yeah, I was doing, I kind of crushed with the shows. Like that was kind of my bread and butter. So like I just learned how to sell tickets very well. Like people didn't have to be fans of me to buy tickets. I almost moved like a promoter. I would just see a show get announced. I'd hit up the promoter. I'd be like, I could sell 100 tickets to this show, no problem. And then I'd get the tickets and I'd flip them in like a week. And the way that I did that was I'd go to the Facebook event, and anybody who said yes they were going or maybe they were going, I'd message them. And then I'd just be like, I have tickets for cheaper than what they are online, no service fees. I'll pull up and bring them to you, and I'll give you my CD for free. Feel free to throw it away or whatever. So I would just meet up with all these people, and they weren't fans of mine or anything. It's just like they wanted to go to the Tech Show, or they wanted to go to the Mac Miller Show, or whatever it was, MGK, and I'd just pull up, sell them tickets. after I sold 100 tickets in a week, the promoters are like, what? And I'm like, yeah, give me more. So I actually was selling out the shows damn near without any tickets having to be bought online for the actual artist. So artists would pull up. I'll never forget the first time I opened for MGK. He pulled up and everybody had my CD and was like, MGK, sign this. And he's like, he comes up, he's like, dude, I've signed your face like 200 times tonight. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I sold 350 tickets to the show. It's a 400 cap venue. Like, that's what I was on. So that was really my grind. And then it just turned into, once I did it in Arizona, I was just like, I could do that anywhere. Yeah. So I started getting on just the Northwest shows for all those different artists.
Dude, so cool. I mean, we never sat and talked about this. And
yeah.
It's interesting to me to actually sit and have a focused like life story dialogue with people and just realize like, fuck, like that was your way, grind. You know?
Yeah.
And it's so smart. Like there's so much game in that. I feel like hopefully people pick up listening to that, you know, because that's the most interesting thing to me with everybody is that window of like, okay, that was my first idea. That was my first run at like just building it into a business. And dude, you just nailed like some really brilliant young age hustles.
No, it turned from that to then like my goal was always like open a show, then throw a show. Okay. Open a show, then throw a show. Or open up a couple shows, then throw a show. So that was kind of always like my MO was after I sold all these tickets to these people and they just saw me kill it with whoever was in town, then I'd be like, okay, I'm going to throw my own showcase. And then I would throw my own show, have people open up for me, and then I would sell those out. Then I'd go get new fans, open it up for somebody else, and then do it again. So it was just like that process over and over and over.
Yeah. And how long do you think it took before that process really started catching?
It kind of caught right away.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it just because that's like when you really think about the volume of people you're talking about, it's a lot of people.
Yeah. Like because I obviously was just doing my own shows at the 350 cap room. So it'd be like I said, I'll do the MGK show. Then I did the Yellow Wolf show. And then I did a show with my band that felt like those type of shows. And then I did the Hobson show and the Tech show. Then I did a show that felt like that. And it was just kind of back to back to back, just doing that over and over. And yeah, I just kind of did that all of 2012 and 2013 is when it kind of started spilling outside of Arizona. You know?
When did you start adding, like, were you quick to get to merch and build out
right away.
Other revenue streams?
Yeah, right away. I was making merch in high school. So already before I was even really doing a lot of big shows. I was always making merch. Yeah.
Like you buy equipment, you buy outsourcing it. What was the process of getting the initial merch off the ground?
I just found a print shop in Arizona and just started. I had a dude who designed stuff. He had a clothing brand he was trying to launch. And so I was just like, yo, just act like my clothes are part of your clothing brand. So same thing, like he put up the money to make the merch and then I just broke him off on the back end. Great. And then the tag was his tag.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Great, man.
Yeah.
And as this all progressed, what's going through your mind with like, how do you, what kind of goals are you setting for yourself when you're going through that?
My goal was always to be a millionaire by 25.
Okay.
Always was my goal. I told my mom, if I'm not a millionaire by 25, I'll go back to school.
And did we hit that?
Never went back to school.
Okay. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
My goal in that sense, I was always like in high school, I was like, I'm going to have a Lamborghini by the time I'm 21.
Hey.
By the time I'm 21, I'm going to have a Lamborghini. I'm working on this. I'm working on that. I'm working on this. Like all these crazy ass things were happening.
Yeah.
And I ended up in business with somebody that I guess I could just say couldn't put it together the way that we needed to go like from the initial pitch, we're hooked, we'll try this test thing out. If it does well, then like this could be a 10 million, 15 million, 20 million dollar. This is all in like a tech space company.
Okay, yeah.
And we had all these projects with like all these A-list big name people and it just like never did into like the actual product, you know? And it was something that after so long I just was like, I can't continue to like do this. This is driving me crazy. So literally like all my savings, everything I had, years of time went into that. I was trying to juggle like getting the studio off the ground because that was like 2010. Okay. So I had like just moved into here.
Okay.
Just moved into here, which was like a whole experience of holy shit, I have like rent to pay every month. The studio was really like a hobby, and I was just happy to be helping everybody out that was coming through.
Right.
And it got to the point where I was just like, fuck, like this is gonna crash and burn like everything I have to eject. And so I just had to readjust that goal. And then it was kind of like, do I really want a Lamborghini? Like that's not really, you know, where my head is at now, because
your goals
music
could
was
change
cooking,
for sure.
you know. And so it was just like, okay, like I'm running with the studio and I'm spending everything I possibly can
on this
place, because it just was,
and it's paid off.
It's paid off. You know, it's paid off beyond anything I could ever imagine. And that's honestly really the relationships more than it is money. It's not a great like money generating business. I'm sure it could be if I did it like a traditional studio.
Right.
And that's something I look back at and I think about, and it's not necessarily a regret, but it's like I never really made like a business operations team here. It was always pretty much me. Right. You know, and so at some point, like if you get sick, business is crippled. Right. If you
go out of town,
everything's like,
you're kind of handicapped by the studio.
Yeah. And so it was like, okay, I had people that I rely on, like Polyester the Saint, JP, a couple other people that I could just call up and be like, hey, I'm leaving town. These sessions are happening. Can you come in, fill in? Right. I always had people that would do that, but there's a difference when it's like an actual smooth operating business. And I think for me, it was like the capacity of hours I could work in 1 week. Yeah. You know, at some point doing like 2 to 3 sessions a day, every day, pretty much 7 days a week, and it running like somewhere a total of like 16 to 20 hours a day, like damn near every day, you know.
Is insane.
Yeah. But that was what it took, you know, and
to
like
make a name for this place.
Yeah. You know, I mean, to get it, like, dude, to launch a studio in LA in like one of the most competitive markets ever. Yeah. And to like connect with so many people on their paths, just to me seemed like there was no other way. Right. You know, but
yeah, when you're going, you're going.
Yeah. And it's just something that I'm amazed by. I never wanted to have a studio. Like I never wanted to engineer. You know, it's literally just something that like I fell into out of like the love for music, and it was just like, oh shit, I could like, you know, make music with all these people. Like I never would have imagined my whole life. And you know, then it just became like, oh shit, I know a lot of people now. Right. You know, like right. And a lot of these people are like really fucking successful. Like this is pretty amazing, you know, and just seeing everybody on their hustle for the last, you know, basically like decade plus, and just being like, holy shit, you know. I mean, dude, look at you. It's amazing. You know, look at Jake, look at like, it's just, you see all these guys and you're just like, oh man.
Like how?
Know? Yeah.
When?
But you know how, because you see the work, you know, that's when it like, I look at you or I look at Jake, like, I'm just like, yeah, this dude's a fucking genius, you know, like creatively watching how he grew his film and photo business and then real estate and how it all plays in together and making products. And I'm just like, yes, that's, you know,
that's where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's been wild. So anyway, back to where we were with you was like 2013-ish. Yeah, couple albums in. Yeah. Are you thinking like sign with a major record label? Is it not appealing to you? Publishing company? Or?
So I got my first offers in 2012. Okay. Nothing too crazy. But so yeah, I was interested. Yeah. And at the same time, I was kind of learning the independent space, because like what's weird is, it's kind of hard to explain. I'm not like a music junkie where like a lot of artists really know everybody's catalog and they're like the fan first, right? Where they really study they study all this different stuff. I was always just like, I make what I make and like, let's make money. That was kind of like how I always was from the time I was a kid. So I didn't know independent hip hop existed. I didn't understand that. Action was the one that put me on game with the Machine Gun Kellys and the Hobsons and all those. Like I didn't know who they were. Sure. I didn't understand what that even looked like. And so at this time, I'm like really studying Hobson, who's so anti-label, basically, right? Yeah. And then I saw the MGK thing and I watched that all unfold. And when I opened for him, he wasn't signed. So like it was all about being independent. But at the same time, I was like, well, I feel like I could be bigger than they are. So I wasn't opposed to a deal. I wasn't thinking anything other than like, I just want to make as much money as possible for my goal. And I want to make as much music as possible for my goal. Yeah. So yeah, either which way would have worked. But the first time I got the first contract, I'm like, wait a minute. And it was from Motown, actually, really weird. First offer was from Motown. And I'm like, wait, what? After I had the lawyer read it, I'm like, that means that? Yeah. No way. Like 8-year deal, no creative control, 20% of your money. Like, you get 20% of your. I'm just like, wait, this is how it goes. So yeah, that kind of turned me off. It all kind of happened right in the same time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so were there artists? Were there any people that were kind of like helping advise through that process?
Not at that time. I didn't have anybody that I knew personally that was bigger than me. Like, I had done these shows, but like I wasn't cool with all those artists, right? So I didn't have anybody at that time that I could be like, yo, so it was just me and my producer really looking at it. And then, we found some lawyer and he was just like, this is what it means. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you pass on that?
Keep
it moving.
And it was actually really tough to pass just because it's the idea of like, but dude.
Yeah.
And I remember they were trying to sign me and 2 other artists all at the same time. And like, so they're showing me like, yeah, we're signing him. He just locked in. You're next. Let's run it. And I remember after I didn't sign, the artist that they did sign right away got a record with 2 Chainz and got a really big music video and got all this different stuff. And I mean, my career has definitely been a better career than his, but at the moment I'm thinking like, damn, I messed up. I could have that record right now with 2 Chainz and I could be this and I could be doing this and so it's tough.
Interesting. It is tough. But that that's this whole process, man. And you look back on those decisions and you really have to wonder like, all right, like, it might have got you somewhere faster,
right?
But would that have like burned out in a way? Would that have just caused you to miss a bunch of critical steps along the way that now prepared you for
everything else,
the next steps that you took, and to be sitting where you're sitting right now today and be looking out top of the mountain, kind of like, okay, where do I want to go now? Because I've had this experience, I've had this journey, that's how, at least how I see it.
Facts.
I think about like, even with what I mentioned earlier of like changing, having other people be a part of the building a business and kind of taking a back seat, and it's like I live for it. Like it's nothing better.
Right.
That's why,
Facts.
like making a great song, having a great session, that kind of thing. For me,
nothing feels
like,
better, right?
Nothing feels better. Yeah. It's really amazing. The power of like just creating a great song and locking in with everybody in the room that you're working with is so fucking fun.
For sure.
And for me, it still really hasn't gotten old.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Super dope.
Yeah. I mean, it's just now like, I think the main thing is just like wishing I probably had done more in terms of building a business, building a brand.
Right.
I like the word truth a lot. It means a lot to me. I didn't like ever step up to like making t-shirts, making clothes, making other, merchandise that was related to the studio, and just feel like, if anything, I look back at like, oh, I could have expanded more.
Right.
I could have built a little bit bigger of a business or a brand in that capacity. But every time those things came into my world, it was like, well, who's going to handle that?
Right.
Me? Oh, fuck. I have to go find this designer. I have to go find that guy. I have to go, oh, these samples aren't great. Oh, I don't know if this is going to work for me.
And it could have distracted from the main vision.
Yeah.
So it's good to be micro-focused at the same time. While it's dope to diversify and do a bunch of things, like if you can micro-focus and be the best at what you're doing, and like, I mean, when I mention the word Truth Studio, like everybody knows. That's
to me like unbelievable, that's where I'm just like, oh, cool. Like this did something, that is well beyond what I ever dreamed of it. And at the same time, I feel like that was all practice.
Right.
That's the wild thing to me is I
feel like you're just getting started now.
Yeah.
That's dope.
That's the crazy. So just recently I've like made the transition to executive producing albums, which is where like I had always kind of seen myself.
Mm-hmm.
So this long road was fun, first and foremost, which is like what I wouldn't trade for anything else in the world. Like the process and the way it all went was just wildly enjoyable. Ups, downs, the crazy hardest shit, sometimes making a ton of money, being super up, like just experiencing
the journey.
The journey has been really fucking great.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, I have all that experience. I have all that knowledge. I spent all this time doing like sessions for publishing companies and labels and making bread that way. And my goal was to build the studio out the way that it basically looks now, you know? So that's like completed vision. It's like spending all this time working on a car to compete in like Formula One.
Yeah.
And then being like, I got the car now that could compete for championships on the regular.
Yeah. Now you need
watch me work.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like, for me, I guess I am still the driver. You
know
what I mean?
True.
But now it's like, watch me work with the tools
Yeah.
and the hustle that's been there, but more on the back end supporting artists, but not really ever being in any kind of like actual, like I hate executive because it's such like a shitty word, but like in an executive role or like a producer role with putting together an album.
Right.
Putting together, everything on the recording, mixing, mastering side. So I'm now handling like the full sound of somebody's album that we make. And if that goes well, ideally from then forward, we just keep going.
Keep going crazy. Yeah.
And that's now where I look at like, this is the first chapter. That was all like,
I feel it.
The warm ups.
Yeah. No, I feel it.
And so it's exciting, man.
Doing something for that long and then being like, okay, now this is the way I want to go. Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I mean, the differences now, I think, which are exciting is like, I've been like trading in crypto since like 2017.
Okay.
But now to see like what is possible with like where things are at and like the level of attention that it's getting.
Insane.
Yeah, is really exciting. And so for me, the combination of having the studio, being able to create these albums, seeing where the NFT space is, which really is just for me like a great new terminology for an old thing that existed prior, but to have it all wrapped up in this nice little bow that people can just explain super simply, and like the capabilities that come from that with the royalties and the rev shares and the all these different tools didn't really exist unless you built it. And when you built it, you were like on an island by yourself trying to explain it to people. Now there's an industry and there's billions of dollars, and it's exciting.
Facts.
So for me, I'm like, okay, cool. NFT record label, the way that all this shit works with like, hopefully the next step is going to be either like acquire or partner with a venue to have access to just doing shows all the time.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like tying in the music creation and the process and the music itself after it's complete.
Yeah.
Shows, performing, going back now over all those things that I missed with like understanding the importance of merchandise and building
just
a brand.
Overall brand, yeah.
Yeah. And seeing that, and then now incorporating like this, which to me is like the message, like the way to get the message out properly.
Yeah.
So I look at all those components and I'm just like, oh shit, like
Let's
the
go.
next chapter is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And
I feel it.
I'm really looking forward to bringing in like interns, young kids, and being like, okay, I'm going to like give you the game.
Yeah.
So eventually I can like just take a back seat.
Yeah.
And I look forward to that.
You need helpers.
Yeah.
No matter what, you can never do as much as rappers or anybody else likes to say, and I did it on my own. It's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
I needed Jake. I needed Action. I needed the different people that have played the roles that they've played in my career, and without them, like, it doesn't work. You know? So yeah, you can't be the one man band. You need other people to support what you're doing. And because there's only so many hours in a day. So while they're doing this and you're doing this and he's doing this and whatever it may be, that's how a business really grows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were some of the hardest things for you along that path from like, I mean, I guess really from 2010, let's just say like up until COVID. So like that 10-year span.
I think the hardest time in my life was when I just didn't understand how I wasn't there yet. And looking back, it's crazy because like we're talking about a 10-year span, and really like I started in 2012 and like I blew up in 2015.
Yeah.
And so that's only 3 years.
Yeah.
But and now 3 years goes by like that.
Yeah.
But in that time, I'm just like, I was so hungry. I wanted it so bad. And then like I was just seeing like peers of mine blow up, and I was seeing like people that I thought sucked that were cracking, and I'm just like, how the fuck is this happening? And I knew I was working harder and, in my opinion, smarter than some of the people. And it was just like, so that was when I was really frustrated. And then at the same time, like you said, if you're spending 16, 20 hours here, there's no time for anything else.
No time.
So just, I think like you kind of cut yourself off from everyone else, and you're all in on this dream and this vision and this goal. Everyone doubts you. Nobody thinks you can do it. And then you start to question, like, are they right? Or like, am I bugging? Am I tripping? Like, is this not Like, did I reach my plateau? Did I peak? Like, what happens now? So I think that time, which was like 2014, it was like I was making money, I was doing shit, but it was like I felt like I was knocking on the door, I was beating on the door, I just needed to kick it in. So that was probably the toughest, most frustrating time. And then after that, it's been like, once the door was kicked down, it was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
What
did as you were turning that corner to like, you know, you're here, things are now just going.
Yeah.
What's like, how do you see it going from there? Was it always just about focusing on you as an artist, building yourself out? Did it ever get to record label, working with other people, signing other people?
My goal was always to have a record label and sign other people. So along my journey from day one, like when I was doing the shows, like I said, I did showcases and I hosted this thing called Prove It, where every month I did a showcase, 9 artists opened up, I performed, and I hosted it. So like I always was putting people on and putting people in the position to win. So yeah, it was always that, but I knew, like, just like they say on a plane, like you got to put your mask on first so you can breathe before you assist the person to your left or right. So I always knew that was how it had to go. So I was grinding, focused, trying to get mine so that I could then bring everybody with me. So yeah.
Amazing, man. Has there been, now that you're where you are, other ventures besides music?
Yeah, a lot. Like my first venture was, I mean, they're all kind of music related. I did obviously the showcases. Then I did this thing called the one take contest. So I blew up from shooting one takes and things like that. And so the first thing I did to really put other artists on was the one take contest. And basically, you know, you download a beat, you rap on it, you shoot a one take, and best person gets, I think it was $5,000, feature with me, whatever. And so the people that entered that contest are all people that are popping now. You know, from Ali Dominique won the contest. He went on to be on the Rhythm and Flow show on Netflix. Dax was in the contest. Crypt, Vinjay, Gone, all these people that have at least 500,000 monthly listeners and up. Dax, who's just crushing it now. So that was kind of my first thing. And then I started my clothing line, Sheesh World, which ended up getting in 150 Zoomies locations, getting in a bunch of other stores. Then I partnered with a clothing store called Guest List, who was the same person I partnered with the clothing line. Guest List is crushing. Launched Guest List Kids, a print shop. Then I started 2 years ago, which is my biggest, or a year and a half ago, my biggest endeavor is Indie Amplify, which I don't know if you've seen that, but it's the one-stop shop for artists. It's a marketplace where you can book features, YouTube reactions, music reviews, consulting. You can get Spotify playlisting. I do educational videos once a week. I do contests on there. Right now I'm doing a contest to get on the I Guess I'll Smoke remix because it's the anniversary of that. So launched that. I launched a smart link company called Maps, which is a way better version of a link in bio type, smart link type thing. So crushing with that and just, yeah, man, all sorts of business. So yeah, it's been, and then real estate, I own 5 properties now. So been going crazy.
What's your day like?
Very regimented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It must be to have this level of performance.
I've learned that I have to micro focus in time stamps, right? Like
Yeah.
I wake up at 7. Now I'm married. I have a son. So I wake up at 7. I change his diaper. I play with him for an hour. Boom. I go to the gym from 8 to 10. I come back. I eat, shower, take a dookie, go next door. I film whatever I need to film from 11 to 1. I take my lunch break, see my son again. I do business calls and meetings from 2 until 4. And then I wrap up from basically 4 to 7 with just going through my to-do list of any things that I left off, helping out other, like, you know, making the calls that I need to make for the artists. I forgot about that. I manage artists now. So making the calls that I need to make for my artists and setting up plays for them from basically like 4 to 7. So I work kind of a 9 to 5 job from 11 to 7 of doing that. I tuck my son in, call it a day. Yeah. So very regimented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that exactly how you want to draw it up? Is how long you think you run that play for? Is there a goal for you? Is there like a finishing, I want to make this amount of money and at this point in time I want to pass all this shit off to somebody else and leave this running? Is this like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life when you think about it at this point in time?
I say that I want it, like, I would love to be another decade from now. I would definitely love to be retired. Even
Yeah.
5 years from now I would like to, but I know me, there's no way. Like
Yeah.
I just can't. If like let's say the goal would be to sell a big chunk of Indie Amplify and sell maps for a great amount of money, right?
Sure.
And with that money, I could technically retire, right? But I know I never will. So at the end of the day, it's like I'll always make music. I'll always help other artists. I have a list in my phone of probably 150 different business ideas, from sandwich shops to whatever. So I know that I'll never retire. But at the end of the day, I think that having the amount of money that I could retire on by the time I'm 35, 40 is the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing, man. It's
Yeah,
great
yeah.
to just talk to you about all this. We never really sat down to go through
Yeah.
this, and it's impressive to see the mechanics of where you're at and where you come from and where you're going.
Appreciate it.
How do you what do you have in terms of like you doing anything that's just fun, enjoyable hobbies? You take vacations, or is this all just like the lifestyle you've wanted, so you're just continuing to
I have to
live in
take
it?
vacations.
Yeah.
I try to go somewhere every month.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to go somewhere every month. That's what keeps me going, right? Like I got to because I'm so regimented, like a 9-to-5, and that's not like, I don't think anybody's meant for a 9-to-5.
Yeah.
Really, like, and especially not me. So since I've regimented myself like that, it's like to get the inspiration and the new lust for life, it's like I got to go do stuff. I got to get out of my box. I got to get out of my my compound basically and go do other things. So every month I go somewhere new and do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drive, fly, doesn't matter. Pick it and
Usually
go.
fly.
Okay.
Usually fly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually fly.
You have any kind of hobbies that you're
Basketball.
Yeah?
Basketball is the one thing that keeps me sane. That's like my workout in the morning.
Okay.
4 days out of 7 is basketball, and it's the only time I don't think about business or music is when I'm playing basketball. So if I didn't have basketball, like even the Airbnb that I got out here, made sure I had a basketball hoop. I can't go I'm off. Like
Yeah.
if I don't hoop for a week or two, I'm off.
Crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great, man. Was that
Yeah.
something I'm assuming you wanted to go pro at some point in time?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much knew I was gonna be too short to go pro, but yeah, I mean, I was super nice. Like,
Hey, man, Muggsy,
Muggsy
we got
Bogues,
some,
yeah.
we had some guys that
No,
were
that's
nice.
that's a fact. He was super nice. Yeah, no, I played. I did traveling basketball, AAU, all that good stuff as a kid, and yeah, I think I loved music and basketball equally, but I always knew that like music was gonna be the thing that took. But yeah.
Did you go to college?
I went to college for a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And things were just moving too fast.
Things were moving way too fast. It just didn't make sense. It was a waste of time. I'm in class writing raps. I'm leaving class to sell tickets. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
I was
sense.
only there because my mom wanted me to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
There's some importance to that obligation too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what about having a kid? Decision made or unexpected?
No, it was very calculated.
Okay.
Another goal. I was like, yeah, I want to be married and have a kid by the time I'm 30, and that's exactly what happened. Like weirdly, like it just worked out. I've known my wife now for 10 years. Met her on a video shoot, and we've been together now actually for like 4 years, and so just everything kind of worked out, and we got married and a pandemic wedding, and then got pregnant basically right away. And boom, I have the cutest baby of all time. Like, not to be biased, like the dude is just the cutest baby ever.
Amazing.
If he was ugly, I'll tell you, I'd be like,
I
got a little ugly guy at the crib. But no, he's amazing, man. Amazing.
Dude, this has been epic. We've been pretty rapid fire, I feel like, this whole time.
Yeah,
Talking
yeah.
fast, going through a lot.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like that's pretty much everything.
In and out. One take Timmy back at it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like it's pretty amazing to see. Like, music just was the calling from the beginning, and
Yeah.
I know from having the studio side of things, it gets to be very repetitive.
Yeah.
So I know there's probably a lot on that journey from 2012 to now that we could recap more in detail, but I'm assuming it's a lot of go to the studio, go do some shows.
Yeah, trial and error. I mean, if we're talking about like what the career path looks like and like maybe advice I would give to other artists,
Sure.
there's a few things that come to mind. Like, I think something that was very pivotal for my career was the platforms. Anytime I had a song, anytime you have a record as an artist, you should be looking for the platform that it should come out on, right? So when I have a record, for example, let's just say I Guess I'll Smoke, one of my bigger records, I don't even smoke weed. I went on tour with Dizzy Wright. Dizzy Wright is a weed artist. I'm thinking, how could me and Dizzy make a song? All tour, it's like he's peer pressuring me to smoke. I'm getting him to drink. So the song is literally based around me not smoking. But that song hit. As soon as I made it, I'm like, okay, how can we market this? Well, I reached out to Be Real to get on the Smoke Box. I hit up every weed blog. I hit up every weed Facebook page. I hit up every weed sponsor I could potentially get. Obviously, Dizzy's on it. Lazy Bones, so I brought in the older crowd that also smokes. And that's how I approach every record. If I make a song that sounds like somebody's demographic, the first thing I'm going to do is try to get that artist, and then I'm going to get every platform that rocks with that artist to rock with me. Reaching out, hitting them up, offering them things, being complimentary, whatever it might be. So if you're an artist and you're wondering why your music isn't going anywhere, it's because you're pitching it to the same people over and over again. So I'd say the main thing that helped me throughout my journey was anytime I had a record I believed in, I didn't ever put it out until I had the platform and the situation to make it make sense. And that was what my career was based off of, was doing a song, figuring out the platform and the collaboration, not just rap collaborations, but with YouTubers, with blogs, with big YouTube pages, with Instagram pages, whatever it might be, to where my song would never fall on deaf ears because I needed the platform. So that'd be my advice. And learn the business.
Dude, epic. Great advice. I feel like throughout the whole conversation, there's a lot you could model a career off of the blueprint you just laid out in multiple different ways.
For sure.
I guess the last thing I'd be curious, I mean, we kind of already asked you about it, but is there anything like, is selling the Indie Amplify and the Maps company really like the biggest part of the vision at this point in time? Is there anything else that you see that's like really like a big goal for you lifetime wise?
For me, it's lifetime. For me, that's my main focus right now is Indie Amplify, and getting that to be what I know it can be. And then like I said, I manage Oswin Benjamin, Michael Manelli, Elisa Gutierrez, Chris Rivers, Anakin, and I just want all of them to be able to live off their music completely and continue to crush it and to see all their dreams come true, and for them to live the life that I got to experience already, So that's kind of my goal, that's like my passion, is doing that. And like, I got Oswin on the MERS tour, and doing that was like amazing, and seeing him crush those shows and see, I don't want to say the world, but see the artists, the 300, 400 artists at these shows fall in love with him is way doper than like when I put out a song.
Yeah.
Cool. I really feel that. So that's like my real passion. And indie is also my passion, but also like so much more business oriented, to where I'm like, it's in the tech space, right? So
yeah.
that's kind of that, and this is that. So yeah, those are my two things that I'm really focused on.
Amazing, dude.
For sure.
I'm excited to keep watching the journey.
For sure, man.
It's been
Likewise.
a treat, man. It's been a real treat. Honestly, you, Jake, like, you guys are big inspiration for me.
Oh, that's dope, man.
It's cool because it's just, I love to see people that have been able to sustain a career,
right?
Be successful. So it's
right.
like, oh, great. It's not just, oh, you're still doing the same thing,
right?
But you've actually built this thing up significantly,
right?
And to hear all the amazing things that are coming, man, it's really exciting.
Likewise, and I'm excited to see what you do, man. Hit me whenever you need me.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Congratulations on the baby.
Yes, sir.
And getting married.
Yes, sir.
Amazing, man.
For sure, man.
Amazing.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Skirt.